So, you're moving to Warrensburg or you're PCSing to Whiteman and you're about to buy a house. There are 10 things that you do not want to do. Stay tuned. Eva Clark here with Next Door Agents. Make sure that you like and subscribe down below because we make a new video every single week of what it's like to live in Warrensburg, Missouri. Also, we get so many calls and texts and emails from people who are PCSing to Whiteman or moving to Warrensburg, and we love it. So definitely don't stop. So today we're going to talk about the 10 mistakes to avoid when buying a home in Warrensburg, Missouri. Now, most of these, they're just in random order, except for number one. Number one is the most important, so you definitely want to stick around for number one. Starting off, number 10 is budget. So understand your budget. Before you go and look for a house, have a pre-approval with a number that you feel comfortable making a mortgage payment on. Make sure you know what your mortgage payment consists of. So I do this whole other video where I talk about your mortgage payment and I break it down into your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So it's a big ball of things that you're gonna pay every single month. So make sure that you can afford it and you know what your budget is. And then don't go above your budget. There's nothing worse than putting yourself in a situation where you have this gorgeous house, but you can't afford the mortgage payment. So, number 10, very important, stick to your budget. Number 9 is something that most people kind of forget about, and that mistake is not checking your credit and then correcting any small mistakes. So this can actually be a big difference when it comes to going to your lender and getting an interest rate for your loan. If you have a credit score that could be a little higher, you could have gotten a better interest rate. So if you check your credit before going to apply for that loan, and maybe there's some old thing on there that's a mistake, you can get it corrected before you go to the lender, and then your credit score will be higher. So make sure that you check your credit and you fix any small mistakes. Moving on to number 8. This is definitely one that I have made the mistake of doing myself, and that's not being flexible. So when you go to start looking at houses, you have that pre-approval letter in hand. Make sure that you're flexible on things that don't actually really matter necessarily, like maybe some cosmetic work, maybe some appliances, maybe the colors of the rooms. These are things that can all be fixed later on with just a little bit of money, time, sweat equity. I actually kind of recommend making a list of like must-haves and would be nice to haves. So then you can go and look at houses and kind of compare them to that list. For me, the one really important factor that a house has to have is a location and a school district. So is it in the right location for you? Do you want an area with families? Do you want an area with more active younger people? That location will make a big difference. And for me, because I have kids, school district. I do not want to move out of my school district. So when you start looking at houses, make sure that you are flexible about what you could have and what you will not have. Number 7 is the mistake of going with the first lender without getting multiple quotes. So, for example, you want to buy a house, you go to your bank and you say, I want to buy a house, and then they give you a loan option with an interest rate. Take that interest rate and then go to another company, go to another mortgage company that maybe will shop around throughout the different markets and try to find the best rate for you. So you never just want to go with the first quote. Make sure you at least get 2 different quotes. You're dinging your credit already. You might as well look. You could end up with a way better deal and be paying less every single month on your mortgage. So don't make the mistake of going with just one lender quote. So number 6 is a hard one, and that is the mistake of don't fall in love with a property before you close. Now let me explain this a little bit. So you want to go to the house, you want to see, you want to imagine yourself living there and like it, but don't fall in love and have to have it. Because what that does, it really just kind of hamstrings your ability to negotiate on that price, and it really hamstrings your real estate agent's ability to negotiate on the property or to negotiate fixes and things like that. If you're madly in love with a property, you're less likely to be able to lose it during negotiations, and you're probably going to end up paying more for it. So It's hard, but disconnect the heart and look with the eyeballs and don't fall completely in love with the property until you close on it. Number 5 is the mistake of not looking for first-time home buyer programs. For example, FHA loans, first-time home buyer loans, USDA loans. These are programs where you can actually only have to put down, with the FHA, for example, 3.5%, and with the USDA loan, 0% down. There's also some programs available that can help you with a down payment if, for example, you cannot afford 3.5%. So make sure that you really do some research online. And I mean, this is kind of where having a really good real estate agent comes into play, because they should be teaching and educating you on what your options are, because there's so many options for first-time home buyers. So really make sure that you, A, find a really good realtor who can help you with that, and B, do some research. Number 4 isn't really talked about very often, and I always wonder why, because it's super important. And that is, do not apply for any credit while you're in the process of buying a home. So you get your pre-approval letter, you find your house, you put an offer down. From that point to the point that you close, don't buy a car, don't apply for a credit card, don't even ding your credit for any reason, because your lender is not going to like it. And you may actually lose your loan because of it. And that's because when they're lending you this money, they look at your debt to income ratio. And if, for example, you're suddenly applying for new credit, that could kind of skew that calculation they use. So, super important, when you're buying a home, when you're in the process of buying a home, don't touch your credit. Leave it alone. Imagine it's not there. Number 3, we are just moving through this list. Also important, I mean, all these are important, but it is, do not skip your due diligence. Get a home inspector and make sure that there's no skeletons in the closet, so to speak. You know, make sure they look at the roof, the HVAC system, the water heater, the foundation, always the foundation. Do not skip that, because you don't want any really expensive, pricey things popping up and just emptying your pockets of all your money. It's definitely harder in this market where houses are just moving so fast, and maybe you want to just jump into it and be like, oh, I don't need a home inspection. I don't care if the appliances come with the property. And that's kind of setting yourself up a little bit for failure. So really, while you're going through your closing period, make sure you do your due diligence and know everything fully about the property before you purchase it, so you're not really caught unawares. And I always recommend getting a home inspection. It's always a good idea. Number 2 is never work with a listing agent. Why do I say this? Okay, so say you have your pre-approval in hand and you go on Zillow and you find a house that you want to look at. Well, some people just scroll down to the bottom of the page and they see that little sign on their computer that says, oh, want to take a tour? Call this person. That's the listing agent. So that person has fiduciary responsibility to one client, and that is their client, the person whose house they're selling. They do not represent you, and they do not have your best interests in mind. That's why it's incredibly, incredibly important. And now we're moving on to number 1, to find a good real estate agent. Having a buyer's agent who can represent you and only you, no one else, is incredibly important. And this is kind of like a hidden secret that it's open, but no one really talks about it. So a buyer's agent is paid by the seller. You, as a person who is for the first time buying a house and needing a real estate agent to help you find this house and negotiate for you, you're not paying them. The seller is. So the buyer's agent is actually paid by the seller. So there you go. Number 1 is very, very important. You really need someone who is going to represent you and only you and your interests when purchasing a home. It's also incredibly important to find someone who's willing to take the time to teach you all the different steps of buying a house. What's a mortgage? What are the different parts of a mortgage? How do you go about getting a pre-approval letter? What are the closing steps? How much money is it going to cost to close on this house? Moving costs. All of these things are incredibly important, and you need to find someone who's willing to take the time and effort to walk you through them so that you understand what's happening every step of the way and you feel comfortable with the process. Oh, and who can find you the really good programs, because those are also very important. So there you go. Number 1, find a good agent to help you. There you go. I hope you enjoyed my video. Make sure that you like and subscribe down below because we make a new video every single week on everything Warrensburg and Whiteman. And we get so many calls and texts and emails from people who are PCSing here or moving to Warrensburg, and we love it. So please keep it up. If you need something, give us a call. Bye.